everybody. Welcome. I'm really excited today because I have my friend since childhood, my friend Sherry Sapanlu is here to join me. And today we're not doing yoga asanas, we're actually having a chat. I've asked Sherry to come because she is a licensed marriage and family therapist. And her and I, we've been talking a lot about anxiety and managing anxiety using more holistic approaches, such as, putting together the practices of talk therapy that you do with yoga, breathing, mindfulness type exercises so that we can help to manage these symptoms, which seems like so many people are dealing with anxiety these days. And especially if maybe it's not so bad that you have to take medication,
Yeah, I mean, medication is definitely a great help for many people. So there's nothing wrong with that. But some people, for whatever reason, prefer to try other methods, or they want to do the body work, breath work, and talk therapy along with medication.
Right. So to bring all of these things together to just have a more comfortable, happier existence.
Absolutely,
right?
Yes. Because if anxiety was pleasant, I don't think anyone would spend so much time trying to figure out how to combat it. So people are really uncomfortable when they feel anxious.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's extremely unpleasant to be anxious. In fact, can you tell me what is anxiety? How does it manifest? How can I know if I'm anxious as opposed to like nervous before a certain event or something like that?
Well, nervousness occurs a lot of times because you have something that's coming up, or something really unpleasant has happened, or you're worried about something that's literally happening, and so you get nervous and you can get anxious. That makes sense. But having like day-long anxiety, or things where all of a sudden you feel like some kind of a panic attack coming on, and a lot of people say, a lot of my clients say, I don't even know what was wrong. Nothing bad was happening that day. I wasn't really worried about anything. So that's where we call it generalized anxiety, which you feel throughout the day and you don't really know the reasons for it.
Is that something that kind of builds up where you've maybe been dealing with it without fully having an understanding, because maybe you're just kind of used to the way it feels, like you are constantly having, for example, like a headache or sweaty palms or something like that?
Yes, you can actually go throughout the whole day experiencing one or another symptom, such as shortness of breath, shallow breathing. A lot of people have it. Like you can have it all day. Or clenched fists, your jaws tight. Yeah, tightness in the chest, trembling, shakiness, sweating, and sometimes just this feeling of impending doom. But nothing's really, again, has happened at least that day or even that week, so it's out of place. Yeah.
So is that basically how you would say those are some of the physical manifestations?
Yes.
Or how because like you were saying earlier to me that anxiety actually is a physical experience, the
body holds anxiety. It manifests itself through the body. So that's where you really know you're anxious, and people are like, this feels like, am I having a heart attack? Is something horrible happening to me? And a lot of times it's just really, again, anxiety manifesting itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was much younger, for me it would manifest, and I didn't know this at the time, it would manifest, I would have severe stomach aches.
I remember that.
Do you remember? Yeah.
And obviously we grew up together.
Yeah.
So I remember how our childhood was, and I remember, yes.
Yeah. And I was taking all kinds of medications for it. It was much worse during times of distress, which, a large part of my childhood, but also like before exams. I remember I would get physically sick before exams. But now I know that it was anxiety, and I think it's kind of interesting. I think the body's talking to you if you're listening.
Yeah. The body is talking to you, and at times, one of the things that a lot of researchers and very well-known psychologists have realized is that the body keeps the score, which is the title of a book.
Of that book.
Yes. And basically you have body memory. And so if things have happened in the past, or you're going through a really tough time, even after that event is over, your body is still in the fight or flight mode.
What are some of the symptoms that you experienced? Have you experienced some physical symptoms of anxiety?
Absolutely. I mean, I think just like most people, I have experienced anxiety, but I think maybe unlike most people, at times this anxiety has turned into literally like panic attacks. And that happened when I was a college student. first year of college is I thought I was having a heart attack and went to the emergency room. And back then, maybe it's still the same now, but it was, they would just give you a pill, like some kind of an anti-anxiety, short term, like Xanax or Ativan.
Yeah.
And they gave it to me, and I took it, and I felt so much better. And he said, even, he did heart tests and all this stuff, but he said it's not a heart problem you're having.
You weren't having a heart attack.
Yeah.
As a fairly healthy.
Yeah, I was
21 year old.
No, I was 19.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So that's when I knew, and that's when I knew how serious it was. And now that I work with college age students, also, a big portion of my clients are college age students. It's all that pressure, on them. And so they're constantly dealing with it, and at times they have like full blown panic attacks too.
Right. So I'm curious if anyone that is watching, if you have had or you experience some of these symptoms, I would love to hear in the comments what are some of the things that you are dealing with.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit then about some simple methodologies that we could incorporate.
I think what you do, doing yoga on a daily basis, I bet you that your nervous system is a lot calmer as compared to a lot of other people. Even myself, I don't incorporate yoga on a daily basis at all. So I think the body work like that, including meditation, deep breathing, all of that can really help a person ward off symptoms of anxiety long term.
Yeah.
But I think you have to kind of dedicate at least 10 minutes a day or whatever.
Yeah. I would agree. I think it's really interesting because more and more now are you hearing from therapists, from medical professionals. Science has come around to embrace these practices, like the practice of yoga, the practice of yogic breathing, pranayama. These guys knew their stuff thousands of years ago. They knew that your breath can manage your energy, your anxiety, your wellness. It was something that they understood a long time ago, and now we're coming back full circle, and I'm really happy about that. So I'm going to actually go ahead and post a short breath meditation, breath work. I'll do that right here, so that's available to anyone that just needs a couple minutes of calming down using the breath.
Yeah, may I add to that? What's interesting is even with couples, in couples counseling, for example, I've had couples where they were so high emotion, the emotion was so high and the intensity was so high, like they were shaking. And sometimes I took maybe 10 minutes. I'll say for 10 minutes, let's just do some breath work together, all three of us.
Wow.
And the whole energy in the room like goes from here to so we can actually start talking, so it is very powerful.
Yeah. It seems like anxiety is kind of this, you're in a fight or flight.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to your spouse and you're, having a heated conversation, now you're like, I want to defend myself, and they feel like maybe they're attacked and they want to defend themselves. So then the emotions are just so high.
Yeah. And you can't really think rationally at that point, So it's just overall living with anxiety, with a heightened state of emotion. I think it's exhausting. And actually one of the symptoms of real anxiety is being tired all the time.
Wow.
Where people are like, I'm tired and I don't know why. I'm checking for my, vitamins and blood tests and all this stuff. Everything's okay, but I'm still tired even when I get 8 hours of sleep. Well, the sleep is not enough for relieving anxiety. You actually have to do certain things like what we talked about. Visualization is one, calming, relaxation, like thinking of a safe, calm place, for example. And then the rest of the stuff we just discussed, like yoga and breathing, breath work.
Okay. So since you touched on that, can you talk about visualization?
So if you just take a moment to ground yourself, you sit either on the floor, on a sofa, with not many distractions around you, hopefully no one around you, and you can just close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and then start taking yourself to a place where you feel safe and calm. And this is hopefully a place that's does not have any drama or trauma attached to it. It could be a kind of a make-believe place too, but anywhere where you can see yourself in this space and that it makes you feel calmer, and then you start to pay attention to what you see, what you hear, even what you may feel. Like if you're at the beach, imagine that you're touching the sand, you know. And so as you do these visualization exercises, hopefully consistently, you know, day after day, it becomes to a point where you could be in a crowd of people and feeling really anxious, and just briefly you can bring up that image, you know, and that can actually lower your heart rate. That can actually take you out of that state of anxiety. So it is very powerful, and we should do it one time.
So if for example, your place is the beach,
Yes.
and you've spent some time for some days focusing on this and working with this, then it's something that you can bring up at that moment's notice where you feel like, oh my God, I'm in a crowd.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well. Let me just pull that in real quick. And you don't have to take maybe a full 10 minutes or something like that. Maybe
No.
that on the spot can help you to kind of cool down.
A great experiment is if you have a heart rate monitor, and so you can see your heart rate, you know, and then let's say you can think of an anxious thought, and you actually see your heart going up, increasing the heart rate.
Wow.
And then if you've done enough of these visualization exercises, you can say to yourself for a second, the beach, you know, and then you bring it, and then all of a sudden you see your heart rate go down like this.
Have you seen this?
I do it myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For like exercising and things like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm a little bit out of breath, and I don't know if it's really because of the exertion from physical exercise, or I'm thinking things that are making me upset. And then I do this thing where I start thinking about something calming, you know, like a spa or something. And then I see
There it goes. It's like settling down. What was the other thing that you were mentioning to me before? I think you said it's called externalization or something.
Yeah. So that's just a trick that you can use. You know, externalization is looking at your anxiety as not so much something that takes a hold of you and enters your whole, you know, sometimes we can't separate anxiety from us. You know, it takes over. So externalizing anxiety is if you can give your anxiety a shape, a name, a color, you know, and look at it as something that's outside of you, that at times comes to take over, you know. And the reasons are, again, why do some of us are more prone to anxiety? Well, that's what talk therapy does. It kind of uncovers all that stuff, right? But that's another topic for another time, possibly. But this is a technique that we teach people, is to, you know, give your anxiety a name and just imagine. And so at times when you're feeling overwhelmed, you can actually bring up that image and say, like, let's say we call it Peter. Hey, Peter, you're here again. Thank you for being here. You may have served me well in the past when I needed you, when I was in a fight or flight mode. But right now, I really don't need you. So I'm okay. You can leave now. Okay, so in terms of externalization, the stuff we talked about, the techniques we talked about in tackling anxiety, like relaxation exercises, like breathing, visualization, all that, I think we can do demonstrations and share it with everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah?
for sure. I mean, we can have future sessions where we talk about these techniques.
Incorporating mind and body. Oh, which, by the way, reminds me of mindfulness.
Yes, mindfulness. I mean, when we're talking about yoga is a practice of mindfulness. It's a practical way to be mindful.
To slow down.
To be in the present moment, which I think just leads to much more peaceful, calmer, more joyful experience of life, which we all want a little more of.
Yes,
right?
we do. Yes, we do.
And we'll tackle everyday subjects like parenting, hard stuff, you know. And so please do write to us in the comments below if there's some things that you specifically want us to talk about. And if you want to get a hold of us, if you want to reach out to us, we're going to put all of that info. I'm going to put Sherry's information. Everything will be in the description. So please make sure to check that out. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for coming today.
I love being here. I really look forward to our future sessions.
Yeah. So we look forward to seeing you.
Bye-bye.